This is Dirnberger, and you're listening to the Nocked Loaded Podcast. All right, this is the premiere, the pilot episode of the Nocked Loaded Podcast. My name's Derek Dirnberger, the chief hunter of the break and host of this wonderful podcast. So Nocked Loaded, we'll be talking about archery, shooting, hunting, all types of hunting, deer hunting, turkey hunting, waterfowl, kind of wherever it leads us. Try to get a lot of special guests in here, whether it's industry professionals, hunting TV personalities. The Missouri Department of Conservation, I already talked to those guys, and they're going to come in, and we'll try to get some accomplished hunters in various fields to let them talk about their thing. But the two guests today, they don't fit into any of those categories.
No doubt.
A couple of good buddies of mine, lease mates, hunting partners. Got Joe Hennemann and Craig Heisserer. What's up, fellas?
How's it going? What's going on, man?
It's going pretty well. So if we'll start, just give a little history of how we all know each other. We all went to high school together. Well, Joey, you're quite a bit older than me.
Quite a bit?
Yeah.
Really?
You were out of high school by the time I got there. Craig, I got you 1 year.
Wow, just like that, right out of the gates.
I know, pow.
Yeah.
Right in the mouth.
Taught Craig how to play baseball before we started hunting together. But you guys hunted a lot together back in the early days.
We did in high school, yeah. Good times, good times. We started our hunting career, really didn't have a place to hunt. So we went to some public ground. Is it public? I mean, is that public or is it federal?
Federal,
Is it
Yeah,
federal?
National Refuge, Mingo.
Yeah, Duck Creek and Mingo is where we started. We were probably 16, 17 years old, clueless. We didn't have any mentors, honestly, did we?
No, actually none at all.
No. So we just jumped in the truck or your piece of crap car.
Hey, that car hauled some deer home.
Yeah, it did. It did. Outrun a few trains and made our way to Mingo and Duck Creek and just, failed a lot, screwed a lot of stuff up, but we had a ton of fun. And we ended up learning how to kill a few deer. We did.
Yep, no doubt about it. I tell you what, one of the funniest stories I've ever seen or witnessed was back in the old days when you talk about our age. We are old, but climbing tree stands were Baker tree stands. And so we used to climb with a Baker, and they're based on leverage. And so we'd climb way up there. Of course, we had to be 30 feet high in a stand that was dangerous as all get out. If you lean back on them, they dropped about 10 feet. But Joe would just cracked me up. He would kick them out and make a fall all the way to the bottom of the tree, and then he would just slide down the tree. I don't think that'd be kosher today.
No, and I would scab up my entire chest for about a week at a time from doing
So
that.
those Bakers, are those my uncle, Kenny.
Yeah.
Don't act like you're that much younger than us.
Yeah. Well,
Your Uncle Kenny that's our age?
He made a climbing stand. It was out of angle iron. I think he got
It's like a Baker. Yeah.
Okay, that's what a Baker. I think he just got the reverse engineered it and made his own. But so that's what we're talking about.
That's
Well, the premise behind a Baker is you have to have your feet on the outer edge. So your weight needs to be on the outer edge. So anytime you put the weight anywhere near the tree, it's over, man. I mean,
It's a lot like that loggy bayou we had later.
That's
yeah,
right.
but the loggy you could kind of lock it in with the strap a little bit, so it wasn't quite as bad. But yeah, similar to that, the loggy had the strap,
but the Baker didn't have the safety.
Oh, you had a wing. You had a wing nut. That was
Wing
your safety. That was your safety.
It was a bar that bit into the tree.
Are you standing on plywood?
A lot of them were plywood.
Yeah, and if the tree was wet, good luck.
Uh-huh.
And that happened a few times. I've been up there all the way up, pulling my bow with the string, pulling up, and next thing I know, boom, I'm flying down about 6 feet. And you just hold on. And you're like he said, we would get 25, 30 feet up. And next thing you know, you pop down 6 or 7 feet, and you're just holding on, breathing, looking around, and then you just,
So
climb
Mingo,
back up.
it's a swamp. I mean, basically the swamp refuge, the water refuge. So you're climbing those what are they? The cypress trees.
Big cypress
A lot of
trees.
times.
Yeah, cypress with a wide bottom, and you get up 10 feet, you're already down.
Yeah, the bakers aren't set up for that. So they really need a tree that's the same diameter from top to bottom for you to get up in them. So as soon as that platform starts leveling off, you're in trouble.
So we would probably get down and start over. I mean, you really had to lean it straight up to get any kind of height out of it. There's been many days that we would hunt, and you're just straight down. I mean, the platform is 45 the opposite way you want it to. Bad situation, but you got it out.
You know how kids are. You don't think anything bad's going to happen,
No.
so you're 25 feet up. I'm like, no, this is perfect. This is awesome.
I remember at Mingo with Craig the first time. I think we were with Johnny Kleesner as well. First time ever opportunity with the bow. I'll never forget it. So this was I think it was probably my first week ever at Mingo, and with the baker, borrowed it from my uncle. And I didn't. Yeah, Mike. I didn't know how to use it. He didn't. I think he may give me a quick tutorial. He just threw it to me. And said, "There it is. Just stick it on the tree. Just turn that wing nut." So I get up and I set it up, and I get up maybe 10. I think I'm way up there, but I'm looking back. Yes, Craig's right. Later on, we're 25, 30 feet up, but that first year, probably 8, 10 feet if you're lucky. So I'm up 8, 10 feet. And I got 2 does walking up pretty far away, and then one kind of breaks off, and she's messing a leg. It's a 3-legged doe. Walks 10 yards and looks right at me. Just this broadside, perfect, wounded. The whole. I mean, you should take this deer out. I pull the bow back, and I was a decent shot with this. It's like a PSC pulsar. I got the finger tabs. I got the cheap ass Walmart arrows. I mean, I think they're
broadheads.
Yeah, and the broadheads, which I've probably already shot in mud 15 times. So it's pitiful how bad it is. I pull back, and as fast as I pull back, I let it go that quick too. So it's like, yeah, let it go. I don't know where the arrow went, but it was just.
It went boing.
Yeah. It was exciting though, just to have that first experience with that. So
how old were you?
16.
16.
Yeah, 16. So unlike a lot of these kids today, that their parents and their dads and their grandfathers take them out and they have this awesome experience where they kill their first buck at age 9 and it's this beautiful, majestic buck. Not so much for us.
No.
I mean, you want to talk about hard knocks. We did it. We did for sure.
Our parents, I know deer didn't start showing up at my parents' house, my parents' farm, until I think it was, I don't know, early 80s, mid 80s, probably. That's when I saw my first deer. And I was already, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad has stories of hunting for 14, 15 years before he saw his first deer.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't that far, really in those early days, it wasn't that much different for us too, but at Mingo, you would see deer. You definitely would run into animals from time to time, but in our area, you never saw deer.
Never. So we didn't grow up deer hunting.
No. That's true.
That story reminds me of the first deer that I killed. Actually, was at Mingo. I was with my dad. My dad was a maniac. He loved going, but we never killed anything. But we were hunting one time, and I was all in. I was addicted. So I had bought my deer tag. I was proud of myself. Had a job. 16 years old, hauling hay. Bought my tag. I'm telling my dad I'm going to kill how many deer I'm going to kill this year, and he's laughing at me like whatever. And I had been shooting the year before. I'd shot a recurve, which I was moderately proficient. Like when you think about being good with the bow, you could hit a hay bale at 20, 30 yards. But so I got a compound bow the next year. So this was my Christmas gift. All excited, ready to go. And we go hunting, and I am not kidding. We probably left the house. Mingo's probably an hour and 15-minute drive from where we were. We left at daylight. I didn't have a tag. Hadn't bought my tag yet. I got to go get it on the way. So we're probably hit the woods maybe 10:30. And I climb up in this tree. It's bent. It's not even, it's maybe 6 feet off the ground, but it's got a big bow in it. It's real tall, thick tree. I just jump up.
You picked a good tree?
Yeah, I jumped in the elbow. of this tree. This is insane. It's never happened. So I'm sitting there. It's 10 o'clock. And I am literally maybe 120 yards from the truck. I can see the truck. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm in the tree. And I mean, this is it for me. I'm all excited. And I see this doe come. She comes across the... probably 25, 30 yards. And I will tell you, I shot every day. I mean, the moment I got my bow, I shot I was good. Even with bows back then, I was a good shot. So they had this rest from the person that I bought my bow from. It was like a little wire that kind of come around. It was the rest, but your arrow would click down in that rest. And then when it was time to shoot, you would pull your arrow out of that holder. It was a little holder for it. So it was the rest, plus it held the arrow from falling off. So anyway, I am so excited because I see this deer and it's 30 yards. And so my arrow's clicked in, but I didn't realize it was clicked instead of on top. And so I draw back and I shoot. And again, I have like probably the cheapest arrows, the cheapest broadheads. I mean, it's horrible. I see my arrow just skips across the ground, just bounces, and it goes between her legs. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, that was weird. She runs off, and then she like just starts working her way back. Like, what's going on? That was so not even close that I got to check this out. She didn't think she was in danger, and clearly she wasn't. So I'm all worked up, and I've got my quiver beside me. It's in the bow of the tree, and I fish out another arrow, and I get it knocked in, and she's coming closer, and she gets back to about 30 yards again, turns broadside. I'm like, boom, I've got this. I draw back, put the 30-yard pin right on her, and I shoot, and the arrow does the exact same thing. It just skips across the ground. I mean, as soon as it comes out of the bow, it goes to the ground, and it's bouncing, and it goes out to her. She runs off again, and I mean, I'm sweating. I'm like, just worked up. I mean, I'm just nervous, and she starts coming back again. And by this time, I'm wore out. Like, I'm trying to get another arrow out. I drop my quiver on the ground. Like, literally, I drop down. I just get down and grab my quiver, get back up in the tree, and then I click an arrow in, and it's my last broadhead. I mean, this is it.
This is obviously the dumbest doe on the planet.
Well, I mean, yeah, clearly it was a gift. I mean, no doubt about it. So, I mean, I'm exhausted. I'm so tired that, like, I get it all right this time. Comes back to 30 yards, turns broadside. I let the arrow fly, and as soon as it got out from me, I didn't see anything. Like, it was gone. It just disappeared, and I shot her. I'm not even worked up anymore. I mean, literally, I've calmed down. So much time has gone by. And so I go get my dad. We look for my arrows. We find two of them. Right off the bat, we find two of them, and it doesn't dawn on me that maybe the third one may have actually found its mark. We're looking and looking. He asked me, after an hour, he's like, do you think maybe you hit this deer? I'm like, I don't think so. Seriously, if you saw what I saw, I doubt that anything got hurt today. But anyway, we're looking, and as we're looking for my arrow, we find blood. It's like, oh my gosh, there's blood. Like, I mean, I'm just going crazy. I'm 16 years old, and, there's no way. My dad hunted 15, 20 years with one deer under his belt, and I see blood. I mean, I'm just all fired up. And we start following the blood, and I mean, it opens up. There's quite a bit of blood. Get my brother involved. He's there. And we find the arrow along the path, and it's tore up. It's all bubbly blood. It looks good. And we keep following the trail, and we get to this ditch. Mingo's full of ditches. And we're standing there, and we can tell that this deer crossed this ditch or, got to the water. We're standing there and trying to decide what we want to do. Do we want to walk across this ditch? And this is early October, probably October 5th, 6th, something like that. Cottonmouths all over the place. I mean, do we really want to walk across this water? So we're just kind of contemplating. We can see one drop of blood on top of the water, and we're just kind of sitting there. And then all of a sudden, we notice that she's just floating in the water. It's like, oh my gosh! I mean, we just go crazy. I mean, my dad, me. I mean, it was just a great memory. It's one of those moments where you don't ever forget it. I mean, from that moment on, I'm like, I'm a deer hunter. I mean, not only am I a deer hunter, I'm bad at it. I'm good. Like, I'm good. But I mean, if you go back and if anyone could watch that, you would just be like, what is wrong with this person?
So after that, you guys put in a lot of time at Mingo.
We did. Yeah. And actually,
A
Mingo.
lot of long sits and.
We thought they were long.
Long sits, yeah. You mean, are you referring to the long sits back in the truck? Yeah. So, I don't know why we told you this, but you know the story. But yeah, Craig and I would have no issue, getting to, actually that's kind of a Duck Creek thing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. We did. So we would go to Duck Creek and we'd get the early start, 4 a.m, and we would go to this one spot that we kind of liked. And I'd say, about 8:15? We'd shut it down, look around, because we're only hunting, 100, 120 yards apart.
Yeah, we thought the day was over at 8:15.
Yeah. 8:15, we saw a couple deer come through. Well, that's it. Let's get down. So we go back to the truck, and my dad had a little Mazda with a camper on the back, and we laid some sleeping bags and pillows in the back, and we'd sleep to about 2.
Sleeping was easy. Hunting was hard.
That's right. Well, one particular day, though, we got out there, and it was same time frame, probably 8 or 9 o'clock, raining like hell. And I get down, and we were further away from each other. And I just take on, like, I'm going to head back to the truck. He's probably already back in the truck. And I just keep walking and keep walking.
Mingo's flat.
It's
very flat.
Mm-hmm. So I was completely lost. And I know that there's a ton of ditches, and if you can find a ditch, you can kind of figure stuff out, maybe. So I found a ditch, and I walked it and it's raining as bad as you can see rain. It's raining. I mean, I can't even hardly see in front of me. That's how hard it's raining. And I don't know what time it is. It's early, it's early morning. I'm sure it is. It's 9 at the latest, probably.
And I'm sleeping.
Yeah, he's already back in the truck. So I finally find the ditch, and like I said, I walk it for, I don't know who knows, half a mile, and I find a crossing because I see the gravel road on the other side of the ditch. So I hit the gravel, or I hit this crossing, hit the gravel, and I start walking. And God, could you believe that like 5 trucks passed me? No big deal. I mean, it's pouring, and I've got my bow, and I'm just wet as you can be, and they just keep on trucking. So I go at least 4, maybe 4 or 5 miles.
It's 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
So it probably more than that. I mean, it could have been 6 or 7. I was as far away from the truck as you possibly could be. Finally worked my way all the way around, basically Duck Creek. I basically went all the way around it and get back to the truck because I finally figured where I was at.
Wakes me up.
I look in the back. I look in the back of the truck, and he's out cold. He goes, "Where you been?" So I had some choice words for him, and we got the hell out of it. That was it for me for that day. And I said, I'm never coming back. Of course, I came back probably the next day, knowing me. Yeah, good old flatland, swampy flatland. That's good stuff.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what.
You've been there.
What I've been.
Yeah, you and I have been there.
Yeah, I've been there. So Joey and so you guys hunted together in high school, early college, right?
Yep.
You got married, started the family, started the career, moved away.
Yeah, and I wrote him off. At that point.
Wrote him off, and
done with me.
Joey come looking me up.
Yep.
Yeah, I
You
was
were
in
old
college.
enough finally.
I was old enough. Yep. I graduated high school.
I wasn't gonna get in trouble.
So we started hunting in Illinois, and it was very similar to what you're talking about. Walking, of course, we walked. You're talking about setting
Public
up
land.
close to the truck. We didn't do that in Illinois.
No. Yeah.
No, we would public land hunt.
Well, first off, you got to understand that Derek needed at least 500 acres to himself, and then Joe took the scraps. Basically, how it worked.
That's where the phrase "gar hole" developed.
Yeah, exactly.
We'd go hunt Dongola, Illinois, and I would drop Joey off about 6 miles out of Dongola.
Yeah, I was in Alexander County.
I would drop Joey off to his place to hunt, and then I would go hunt a little honey
5
hole.
miles later.
Right.
Honey hole.
Yeah, a little honey hole I found.
That's true.
Yeah.
Your little swamp.
My little swamp, yeah.
That was a good spot.
It was a really good spot. And you wouldn't have known that the swamp was back there just by looking at it, because it was kind of on a hill. You parked on that little hill.
Yep.
And then I would generally walk back miles.
Yeah, that's a good long walk. No doubt about it.
And then I found this swamp, and I found an area that was, I know how good it is now. Back then, I didn't know. We just,
Luckily
again, we weren't
it.
deer hunting.
Yeah,
we weren't deer hunters, really. I mean, we didn't know. We just kind of went, and we found our spots as we went, but I just found an area. Looking back on it now, I've got it's like 4 quadrants. A swamp, a real heavy thicket, just briars and low trees, just heavy, thick, very thick stuff. And then I had a bean field in one quadrant, and then big woods in the other. And I set up right in where all that different habitat met. And it was amazing. I never went back there and saw less than a dozen deer every time I went back there. But I kept it a secret.
Yeah, no doubt.
Acted like it wasn't quite that good.
And the funny thing is, I saw 2 or 3. How'd it go? A couple. I saw a couple.
You went 18 miles
Couple
further than
does.
me, and you only saw 2 does?
Well, I saw 4. I was excited.
So I killed some deer back there.
Yeah.
Right? Over the last few years that we hunted it. And then we had Nick. Remember Nick?
Uh-huh.
Nick
Yes.
wanted to go with us and never just got his bow. we were veterans by then, right? We had 3 years of deer hunting under our belt.
Oh yeah, I was 21. You were 18, probably.
Right. Yeah. So I was like, Nick, I'll take you back into this place. I'm gonna bring you back into my honey hole and let you kill your first deer because you will see.
Which was honestly kind of bullshit because I still had at that point never been back to this spot. And this dude shows up one day.
Can I hunt?
One day he shows up and just like that he
Well,
gets to go back.
no, I knew you knew what you were doing. So
Oh, okay, let's go with that.
right, yeah.
All right.
Never
mind.
Nick's a rookie, so
There you go.
we had to help him out.
All right.
So it's flat, like you're talking about at Mingo. Flat, and you need a compass. We always carried a compass with us when we hunted Dongola because most of it was flat. Right. I knew I walked in on red, walked out on white, right? The needle. So we get back there, and we're walking back, and I asked Nick, I was like, hey, did you bring your compass? He's like, no. I was like, all right, I'll give you mine. I've been in here 24 times. I think I can get out. So I brought him back to my little honey hole where all that habitat met. And I just decided that I'm going to walk deeper into the big woods. I'm going to get away from the best stuff, like the edge of the swamp and the real big thicket where they're always coming through. I'm just going to go deep into the big woods, and, this hunt's Nick to kill one. So I thought I'm just going to walk another few hundred yards. No big deal. Well, so I found a really good spot. There's a creek that runs through there, and heavy trails coming through there. Good rubs, plenty of scrapes, so a lot of good sign. And it wasn't too far from the edge of the field that I could see the big bean field. So I decided I'm going to set up right here. And I got set up, and I don't know, it was a half an hour before dark. I had a spike come right down, and just exactly how I thought it was going to happen. He come right down this trail, would have given me a 15-yard broadside shot. Perfect. So I'm setting up there again. I sit back down.
You passed him?
Yeah, I passed him.
Did you?
Yeah, well, I was hunting 6-pointers at that point.
That's right.
Right.
We moved up.
Yeah.
We need baskets.
Yeah. If it was a 2x2, it was getting, it was going to walk. So I'm sitting there, and I look up to my left. I'm kind of facing forward. I look to my left, and in front of me, and I just see tines. And I still think it's the biggest deer I've ever seen in my life.
To this day, you still
To this day, I still think that. Now, it could be in my mind because it was at the time, it was the biggest buck ever. But I just see tall, and I see wide, and I can see beams. So I assumed it was heavy. It was chocolate. I can remember the rack. I can remember it. And it's coming down the same
Well, it ain't on the wall, so that's all you can do is remember, right?
Right. It is coming down the exact same trail as that spike. So I'm getting set up thinking it's going to just follow the trail, and I'm going to have a 15-yard broadside shot at what I think in my head, 180 or bigger.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know how to score deer back then, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking humongous. Well, he veered off that path, and there was just a little bit of a bump, almost like those, Indian burial grounds that you see. It's just only, 4 or 5 feet higher than the flat ground, so just a little bump, and he gets behind it. And I'm standing there, and he just disappeared. He absolutely disappeared. And so I started grunting, and never showed up. And I think it's probably 10 minutes. I'm standing there, and he's just gone. I just assumed he turned around and walked away. It's probably only 45 seconds. I don't know, but so I sat back down, and I had a bow holder on my climbing stand, on the platform of my climbing stand, where you just kind of click it in there, and it locks in through the cam.
Leverage.
Yeah, the leverage, it just, rests in there. So it's in the front of me. It's in front of me on the front part of my climbing stand. I sit back down.
Loggy Bayou.
Loggy Bayou.
Yep.
Yeah, no seat. You just had those 4 straps
Oh, yeah.
that you sat on, the little thing that.
So comfy.
Yeah, the little bar.
Everything
the
went
U-bar that, Yeah, but it was comfortable at the time, wasn't it? Right.
The best.
That's true.
Yeah,
It's better than
it was
the Baker
great.
with the wing
Right,
nut.
you're still using that Baker. Remember, you're still using the Baker, the
I was,
plywood.
yeah. That's right.
So yeah, I was high roller at the time.
You were
Yeah.
with your Toyota truck.
That's right.
Nothing's changed.
That's right. Yeah. Spare no expense. So I sit back down, I got my bow back in the holder, and I guess it's in front of me. how was I faced here? Yeah, it was in front of me. Sat back down. I looked to my right. I looked to my left. And the buck is standing broadside, licking a grapevine, standing on one of the scrapes that I found there, licking a branch. It was a grapevine, actually. He's licking above it. And all I can see is, again, rack. My bow's in the holder on the platform. I'm sitting down, and he's 22 yards from me. So I grab my bow, and I'm easing up as slowly as I can, and I get turned on him. He still doesn't know I'm there. I get drawn back, and just like you were talking about, I drew back, and as soon as I drew back, I got him in my sight window,
Right.
and I let it go.
Yeah.
Right over his back. Now, in my head, I was thinking 30-something yards because it happened so fast. I don't know. He just got there, and I'm thinking 30-something yards. He was 22. I shoot right over his back.
Oh, my goodness.
He jumps off
22.
to my left, and stands out there at about 50 yards. And this is where I realize how big he is, because he's about 3 inches, his rack is about 3 inches wider than his ears on both sides, and tall. So there's where I think,
He's 20 inches wide.
21,
yeah, he's 20,
22.
yeah, 22 inches wide and
Is it?
tall. Yeah. So he eventually just jumps off. And so what I figured, here's what happened. What happened was there was 2 giant cottonwood trees that were in the line. So when he walked around that knoll, the cottonwood trees are on the left side of the knoll. So he was from my right, walked behind that little bitty bump, walked behind those cottonwood trees, and then what had to happen,
Yeah.
he got in line with it and walked
Stayed with him the whole way.
directly at it
Yeah.
until he got close to me, veered off of it, and then
Yeah.
got on that scrape, and I never saw him. It's the only thing that could have happened. So anyway, he jumps away. He's gone. It's starting to get dark. The sun is below the horizon. So
Now,
I
wait,
thought-
let's back up for a second.
Okay.
Did you get the grunt call out and
No.
last ditch effort?
No.
None of that?
No.
Okay. All right, just
Nothing.
checking.
Nothing. I didn't even try.
Dejected.
I was dejected.
Yeah.
Very
All right.
dejected.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it.
You
I was
sound
just
you
upset.
still sound
I'm
depressed.
still upset. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still upset. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to get down. I don't have my compass. It's going to be tough getting out of here. I just got to walk out south. I just keep the setting sun on my right side. I'll walk on out of here. No problem. I get down. I pack all my stuff up. And it's getting dark quick before I can get all my Loggy Bayou put back together and on my back and out of here. So I start walking out. It's getting dark, but I can still see. And then I'm just running into really thick stuff. So I start walking around it because I can't walk through it in the dark. And now it's pitch black. And I keep walking, and I'm walking. And I probably walked for 30, 45 minutes. And I should have been out of there in about 10. I was like, this isn't good. So I just keep walking, and I see this old log wooden bridge. Somebody made a log bridge over this giant creek. It was probably 20 foot wide.
First time you ever saw that?
First time I ever saw it.
That's a good feeling in the dark.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is completely the wrong way. I'm just going to turn around and walk the other way. So I turn
But
around.
this time I'm going to run.
Yeah. So I turn around. Now, I wasn't running yet. So I start walking.
coming.
And I walk for about another hour and a half. And I come back to that exact same log bridge.
That's scary.
That's when I knew. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
I
you're in
might
trouble.
be spending the night out
Something's bad or I'm in the twilight zone.
here. Right.
Meanwhile, I'm back at the truck going, what the hell? Where is this guy at?
Nick
I know
came
it-
out at like 4
Nick,
o'clock.
Nick, he got
Oh,
down
yeah.
at 4 because he was getting nervous.
And we're honking the horn like every 20 seconds.
Right.
No,
Right.
I guess you're not hearing that at all.
Oh, no. I'm back at this log again.
I think
thought-
he's dead.
Right.
That's what I said. Well, he's dead. Let's go home.
I bet he's in Pulaski
Well, that was a
County.
possibility because we didn't wear safety harnesses
That's
back
true.
then.
Yeah,
We didn't even
that's
know safety harnesses existed.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
Good point.
yeah. So I'm back at this log bridge, and I was like, man, I am in trouble. I might be spending the night out here.
Was
And
it
it's
cold?
it is cold. Yeah, it's cold. It's in the 20s probably, right?
Snow on the
Upper
ground?
20s.
Yeah.
Snow
I don't think there was snow. No, there wasn't snow.
It's mid-November.
But it was cold. And I'm sweating like crazy because now, I don't know if it's because, partly because I was walking so much, but partly because I was a little bit rattled.
Yeah.
Little bit rattled. Yeah.
So I decided, you know what? Maybe they're out here looking for me. So I start yelling.
Joe's back in the truck napping.
No, I'm not getting it. No. No chance I'm going in there.
Joe is at the truck with a little Debbie in his hand.
Right.
Guarantee it. Yes.
So I start hollering for them. You know, Nick, Joey. Was Clayball with us?
No.
No, it was just the three of us. Yeah. So I'm hollering for for one of those two guys, hoping I'd hear something. I didn't hear anything. I holler again. Didn't hear anything. I holler again, and I finally hear some dogs barking. I was like, you know what? If there's dogs, there's people. Probably. I was hoping.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I started walking to the dogs barking. They would quit barking. I'd just start hollering again, get them barking, and then just keep walking. And then finally, after another 30 minutes, probably, of walking like that, I could see a faint house light. It's like, okay, I'm going to that. At least it's people. So I walk and I walk and I walk. And then when I got out of the woods, finally, I had an idea. I was pretty sure I knew where I was. And I knew I was a long way from where I needed to be.
Completely opposite direction, right?
Completely opposite direction, yes. Complete opposite direction. So I go up to this guy's house, and luckily his dogs were in a pen because they were pretty wound up by the time I got there. So I knock on his door, and I told him, I said, yeah, I was out here hunting, the public ground back here, and got turned around. Told him where I needed to be, and he said, well, son, it's about 4 miles straight through those woods, or if you take this road around, it's about 9. Wow. So I said, bud, I will give you every dollar in my pocket if you take me.
You were in college, so it was
I was
like...
college. I had $12. But he got every bit of it. He took me around, and Joey and Nick are sitting on the tailgate freezing because I had the keys with me, of course. Yeah, you couldn't get in.
Oh.
So they're just sitting there waiting for me. And then Joey, we get back, finally, told him what happened. He's like, well, I got a story.
Yeah, exactly. Like, his story's the only story, right? Biggest buck is like, wait a minute, well, I kind of had something happen to me tonight, too. Not that anybody cares.
As I was 50 yards off the truck.
I mean, I
Between
feel like,
me and the truck, there was a deer that came
that's
by.
right, exactly. I feel like to this day, I undersold how big that deer was that I shot that night. I do. I mean, it wasn't double D, the double D big one, but
about 120.
Back then, that was big.
it felt in my mind, even to this day, it felt big. And same thing. I mean, that night, it must have been one of those magical nights in November. The big bucks were on does. I mean, it was just perfect night. Well, I had a doe come through, and I'll make this story quick, but I had a doe come through and a buck following her, I don't know, 10 minutes later, nose to the ground, and he was big. I can't tell you how big he was, but to me, at that time in my life, it was a big buck. He's 20 yards, I pull back, and he's just on a nice walk. So, not with the experience that I have today, what did I do? I just put it right on his shoulder and pulled the trigger, and I had him right in the ass, as center cut as you can get, right in the rump. And you can tell when you hit it, and it hits that big bone in there. I mean, I probably got, 4, maybe 5 inches of penetration. More than half the arrow was sticking out of his back end. And sometimes you can get lucky, and you can hit that artery back there. But I mean, Derek and I, we spent the next day looking for it. But thinking back on that moment, though, if all I do is give him a little quick B. Right,
you learned the lesson.
My
from
famous
that,
B,
right?
yeah. We all know how good my famous B is. It works. If I would have done it, I would have took that deer home because I mean, I just pulled right, let it go right on his shoulder, and when they're walking, forget about it.
Right
in his butt. So anyway, you never know that. So I'm back in the truck telling the story, and Derek doesn't want to hear any of it.
He's not.
I was lost. For
Where
5
are
hours.
them little Debbies? I'm starved.
We came back the next day though, and we looked and we gave it a really good try. I mean, a good effort. Just there was nothing there.
It's so funny you tell that story as if you guys were hunting like literally in the middle of nowhere. Like this is Illinois, so I mean it's populated, and you even mentioned that you were near a bean field.
Right.
Yeah.
Yet you end up that loss. That's funny.
But there was no moon that night. I do remember that. It was complete blackness. I mean, literally, when I was walking out, I was 60 yards from that bean field, but I had to walk around a thicket, and I could not find that bean field after
you made that move.
after I got looped around that
You
thicket.
should have just went to the bean field.
I should have.
Yeah.
But that was private ground, and I'm thinking I got to, I'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
I got to stay in the public. Yeah, right.
That was a good spot, though.
That was a great spot.
It really was.
Maybe I ought to revisit the.
We did.
You go back there today, you'd be like,
It
We
wasn't.
did.
It wasn't the same.
Is that right?
Yeah, we did go
After
back.
you became experts, it wasn't that good.
Right.
No, we just wanted to go check it out. It was years later, right?
It was years later.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just was not the same. We looked. I mean, we really did. We scouted, checked it out. It just did not have the same look as it did 20 years ago.
No, not at all. So I don't know what happened, but
Yeah.
Illinois, man. Hunting in those days, it was a lot different than it is now. I mean, nobody hunted over there back then.
No,
now
not really. No. Southern Illinois for sure. And that's what we're talking about, Southern Illinois. I mean, back in the, mid-90s?
That was the mid-90s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the Illinois guys were, and I'm sure there were plenty of hunters over there, deer hunters over there, but in terms of Missouri guys, there was a handful of us around here that would go, and there's some Sykeston guys that would go, but man, it was just wide open.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere over there.
Yeah, but talking about, not stopping that deer, that just goes back to us learning how to deer hunt on the fly because no one ever taught us how to do it.
That's right. You contrast that moment of learning where you didn't kill that deer to this year. I mean, in the story that you have this year with the biggest deer you've ever killed, I mean, he's running up to you, and you throw something at him, get him to stop, and then you smoke him. So, it's part of it. It's part of the process. You learn.
It's a shame it takes about 25 years to pull that off.
Well, we are Kelly boys. We're slow learners.
That's true.
It didn't come quick or easy.
Yeah,
That's true.
But even people that didn't grow up hunting, that didn't have a mentor, now they've got videos. YouTube is a mentor.
So much,
They can watch
information.
And that helped us too as we got older. Videos did. I mean, I would say that in the beginning we didn't have any of that.
There were no videos
there
back
weren't.
then.
I mean, you had Noel Feathers and
Dick Idle.
Yep. And who's Noel Feathers' buddy? Dan Fitzgerald.
Dan Fitzgerald.
There you go.
Those were videos.
Some of that, but you had to go rent them, and they were never there. The videos weren't at the video store. But other than that, you didn't have that. But as we got older, like when Derek, when you and I lived together, I mean, we had a whole stack
Jury Monster Bucks and
of videos of all that stuff. Yeah, and you do pick up things.
Right.
You just will, just from watching all that stuff.
Yeah. But we hunt a lot different now than what we did back then. Talking about walking in forever, crossing creeks like you guys did, getting attacked by the
Oh yeah, wow.
creek critters.
So it wasn't long. Joe and I both got jobs, so we're making a little bit of money, and so we're wanting to lease land. We want private now, so we lease this farm, and it backs up into cash wetlands. It's awesome. It's a gorgeous place. You can hunt your farm, but you can also go anywhere you want. So got access to all these places, and still dumber than a sack of hammers.
And we thought it was. I mean, from my perspective, when we leased that farm, you'd already been there for a year, though, right?
I think so.
And the very first day I go to the lease, quote unquote, right? The very first day, I kill my biggest buck ever with the bow. So I'm like, oh, I'm in. I am completely
But you
in.
remember us hanging that stand that allowed you to kill that deer, right?
Right. Oh, yeah, you're going to put that on you?
You know what? It's on both. It was all over both of us. But
Yeah.
So Joe's at this spot that he wants to hunt. Joe, for those of you who don't know Joe he's real particular about certain things. It's got to be a certain way. It's got to be done just the way he wants it done. But anyway, we got this tree we're going to put a stand in.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the reason you've been as successful as you have. But anyway, we got to put this stand up. Of course, everything was lock-ons. We used to do screw-in tree steps. But this tree, it's probably 35 inches around, but it's covered with 10,000 vines. He's like, I got to be right here. I'm like, really? You got to be right here? Like, why right here? He's like, it just feels like the right spot. I'm like, okay, whatever. What
Kind of right.
What's the deal? So anyway, we start screwing in these steps. I mean, we're screwing them in these vines, and I'm talking vines as big around as your wrist, if not bigger. But we go all the way up, and then we got to lock the stand on, and these vines are in the way. So you can't, these vines are attached to the tree, but they're not really tight to the tree. So when you try to lock the stand on, You can see these vines flexing. I'm like, man, we got to get rid of these vines. So we're both on these steps. I mean, literally, he's above me. We're hanging, both of us, hanging on the top step, and we start cutting these vines off this tree. Well, we didn't realize it at the time, but it was poison oak. So we're cutting, and we're cutting over our head. So like it's sawdust just coming down, just, and we're sawing. And I mean, it's not one vine. It's 25 vines, and we're just shaking. We're just wore out, and this dust is just falling down. And so we finally get this stand up. Mind you, this is the stand that he ends up killing day one, the biggest deer he's ever killed. But the next day he calls me up. He's like, hey, I don't feel so good. What's going on here? I'm like, I don't either. Like my hands, like literally you can't spread your fingers apart because there's so much swollenness. Like just
We look like leopards.
nasty. So just to give you an idea how bad it was. So the top of your head. So, where guys like me are going bald. So like sawdust just piled up there, and it's formed this big old crust of just nasty, oozing, horrible itchiness.
That is maybe why you went bald.
You know what? I think it could be. So that's just the beginning. So then
I was above you. See? I still
as
have
you
my
move,
hair.
As you move down, it rests on your eyelids. So there's poison oak on your eyelids. Poison oak on your lips. There's poison oak behind your ears.
My forearms were completely covered in oak. I mean, it was unbelievable. The amount of blisters on my forearms.
The amount of sawdust that lands where your belly and your jeans, it's just unreal. There's a band. We have belts. We both have belts.
Yeah.
Poison oak belts. And I mean, I'm not joking when I tell you this. It's so bad. I should have been probably in the emergency room. Yeah. And I just lay there and I'm just like, I seriously want to die.
It was this is how bad it was. So bad that about a week later, mind you, I'm in my garage, our garage. Derek and I live together. But I think you may not have been there yet.
I think that's when I moved to Florida.
Yeah, that's right. So I was in the garage working out. I had some weights set up in the garage. I have a buddy of mine, Doug Hiring, comes over and works out with me. 2 days later, he calls me up and he said he's covered up. Covered up in poison oak because of me. A week later.
Inside your eyeballs, I mean, just as bad as you can imagine it. Of course, we get to stay hung, and I mean, on day one, Joe just smokes this nice 8-pointer. Beautiful. Nice deer. I mean, just worked perfectly. But, it just goes to show that whatever Joe wants, Joe gets.
Thanks for the help.
Whatever it takes.
So we had this place, for 2 or 3 years, and we decided to expand our area. Is really how the Boar Creek came into play, right? Mm-hmm. And we had, about 120 acres, 110 acres that we had right there.
I think so.
It was we were having some success with it, but we just felt, you know how it is when you have a place. It's always the next farm over that's a little bit better.
Yeah,
the
next
next place
better,
over. Always. So the next farm over was federal ground, which we could hunt.
Yep.
So we thought it's really hard for people to get to. So we thought the best way to access this whole thing was to go down this. Is it a river? Is it a creek?
It's a creek.
Okay,
a muddy creek.
Yeah, it's called Boar Creek, I guess is what it's called. So Craig, it's actually Craig. You tell the story because you're the one that came up with the idea.
Yeah, I mean, so the way it worked, the harder it is, the better the hunting's got to be, right? I mean, that's
of course.
That's what an 18 and 19-year-old's brain thinks, right? So let's make this as hard as we possibly can. So anyway, I bought a kayak and I start going down this Boar Creek. I mean, it's the dead of summer. I mean, it's summertime. I'm kayaking down just to see what's back there. And I mean, the truth is as you go down it, you're probably talking about 2 or 3 mile kayak, and going down Boar Creek ends up dumping into the Cache River, which is Cache wetlands. And beyond Cache, maybe, 400 or 500 yards is Highway 127. So it's not like, we're in the
There might have been an easier way to get there.
Could have been.
Is what he's getting to.
Could have been. But anyway, so I'm going down this river, and there's this one spot along the river where there's this bluff. It's, if you look, thousands of years earlier, it's like this bluff caved in. So it's kind of flat where everything else was really steep. And it just so happened that summer I went through there probably 3 or 4 different times, and I saw the same deer crossing. I'm like, okay, something special's going on here. So this is a big deal. I'm going to kill a big deer here. And I saw the exact same deer. He was crossing. One time I jumped him up right on the river. I'm like, okay, I got to hunt this. And so I find this tree, and it's above. I mean, I'm talking, looking down to the water. I'm 40 feet in the air. Now the tree's not that far, but I hang a stand, and then, I'm all excited because I think this is where I'm gonna really make my mark. I'm gonna kill a Pope and Young right here, and I'm gonna get excited. So I tell Joe about it. Of course, Joe, he gets all fired up. He's like, "Well, I haven't been back there. I haven't seen it. I want to go with you." Like, what are you doing? We're partners here. Like, all right.
This is where it's going.
Calm down. Mind you, this is a one-person kayak. So I take him down there. We kayak down there. We looking around. He finds the spot. Well, where he finds the spot that he wants to hunt is only about, I don't know, maybe 60, 70 yards from where I've got this the spot.
Right.
So anyway, opening, I don't know, it's probably November. I think it was during the rut. It was cold, but we go down together, and we bought waders because two people on a one-man kayak, it really is, it's not really how it's designed. But we get down there, and it's early morning. I mean, crack of dawn, and the spot where I wanted to drop my kayak, where I had originally planned to do it, was right where Joe was hunting. He was up off the river, and I'm like, okay, I can't leave my kayak here because that's not fair to him. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. I want to do what's best for Joe. Even though he's already killed multiple deer out here, I'm like, all right, whatever.
And he's encroaching on your
spot. No, I don't want to say that. I don't want to go that far. We both worked to get down there, but anyway, where I would leave my kayak,
that a little bit.
I couldn't leave it. I'm like, it's just not fair to him. So I stay in the kayak, and I go down a little bit further, and I jump off in fairly deep water. I let him off, and I drop in kind of fairly deep water. I'm like, I see my stand. It's cracking daylight, so I just push the kayak. It's bright yellow. Looks like a banana. I push it, and I think, well, I'll just let it go down stream, and then there's flat spots where water, where it runs thin enough that water, wouldn't float a kayak. Yeah. Like, I'll just push it down. I'll let it go. Wherever it ends up, I'll go get it later. Well, it didn't go anywhere. All right, so it's that deep hole. There's like very little current. So I climb up into this stand, and I am not joking. I am 40 or 50 feet above the water, and it's straight down. And so I'm sitting there, and Joe's hunting, so we're having a good time. It cracks daylight, and all of a sudden, here he comes, the same deer. This is Pope and Young. This is my first. I'm going to smoke this deer. And so I'm looking as he comes to the edge. I see him walking. I can see his antlers. He's coming to the edge, and the ditch is real deep. So it's soft dirt. Ditches are real deep. He comes right to the edge, and he just stands there. I'm like, he's even at that point, he's only 35, 40 yards away. But he was going to go down into the water. He's going to walk across. He was going to hop up on the bench that I was on, and I'm talking straight down. I'm going to be shooting a 10-yard shot. But he is done. This deer is already on my wall. And so it's foggy, real foggy that morning, and he comes right down the creek bank, jumps in the water. I hear him hit the water. As soon as he hits the water, he locks up. I can see his feet, but I can't see him anymore. He stands there. Man, what is going on? Stands there. I'm just like, I'm ready. Come on. I'm ready. Stands there. What is the deal? Something's wrong. And so I lean as hard as I can just to get an eye and catch a peek of what he's doing. I can see his whole body in the water. Water is up to his belly. He turns around. He goes back up the bank, and he just takes off. He's gone. Like, what is going on? There's no way that was supposed to go that way. That deer I saw 3 times during the summer. That is my deer. And I lean a little bit further and I look, and my banana boat is about 10 yards from him. It didn't go down the stream like I thought it would, but...
So it's my fault. Let's get to the whole story here.
No.
It's my fault because he dropped me off, and let's get
No.
So finish it, though. What happened? Was that the night that happened?
No. Well, that just was a hunt that we were on, but you and I we went further. We went way further back.
Yeah.
So this is probably my all-time favorite of Boar Creek. So Joe, and again, I don't know if you know kayaks very well, but this is called a topper. So it's really not designed for true kayaking. It's kind of boating, but the point of it, we're in waders. So Joe's riding on the point of it while I'm canoeing downstream. No big deal. It's easy, right?
Right.
A slow move. We're paddling down, but we're going 2 or 3 miles. And we go down, we go back in there, all the way back. As far as we can go, we hunt in stands. And it's great. I'm sure we were seeing lots of deer, but we got to come out. So it's pitch dark. I mean, just like you described, black as all get out, and I'm paddling up this thing. Joe's sitting on the point. Of course, he's probably sitting there thinking, well, why aren't we going faster? But I'm paddling like a dog. I'm sweating.
I probably was thinking that.
I'm sweating. I mean, I'm in waders, and I'm paddling as
Well,
hard.
wait a minute. I'm in waders too, so don't take all the.
Okay, but you're just sitting there. You're dragging your feet. It's like he's dragging his feet on the
No,
bottom.
I was dragging.
Oh, hey,
my
what
feet.
was that? Was that a rock? I don't know. Anyway, I'm
dragging my
paddling.
feet. There's no room up there. What am I going to do with my feet?
So we got our bows in between us. You know, for us, college kids, I mean, $high bows.
Right.
And they're probably as cheap as you can get, but we couldn't afford them. So they're sitting in the middle.
No, I just bought a Hoyt.
A Hoyt?
At the time, yeah.
There you go. That's right. That is right. So we're paddling, and I mean black. Mind you, these banks are 12 feet above our head, and we're paddling up this ditch that's nasty, dirty. It's disgusting as you can get. And we're paddling, and I'm sweating. I mean, just sweating. And all of a sudden, off the bank, I hear this splash in the water. And I'm not joking. It would be what I would equate to if someone was standing there and they threw a bowling ball in the water. Just
Right.
boof. Like, what? Like, I stopped paddling. Like, we're losing ground now. I'm like, well, what the heck's going on? What was that? He's like, I don't know. It's like, start paddling. Okay, something bad's coming. Okay, he's all worked up. There's only one paddle. Come on. So I start paddling, you know, and we're paddling, you know, and of course I'm tearing it up as hard as I can go. We're barely moving. And all of a sudden, pitch dark, but this beaver comes up right beside the kayak. And I mean, it smacks its tail on the water. And if you guys...
Did you know it was a beaver?
Well, no, we didn't. We didn't, but we figured it out. And the water's probably 5 feet deep, but this thing comes up right beside us. And when I say right beside us, I mean it is next to the
drugged my leg.
Between
Did it
you two?
brush you?
It brushed my
Yeah,
leg.
it brushed his leg,
Yeah.
and it goes, wham! I mean, just smacks its tail on the water. We freak out. We just jump in the water. Like, okay, it's 5 feet deep.
Yeah.
We've improved our situation
And
here.
we happen to be in the deepest freaking hole on the whole place.
So it went over your waders.
Well, it's close.
Yeah, no, it went on mine.
Top of the waders.
Yeah.
It got into
top
mine,
of the
yeah.
waders. But we hear this we hear this noise. It goes boom, 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 boom. Well, it was our bow sliding across the plastic kayak, drops down in the water. So we're standing in
These bows are at the bottom of the creek now.
bottom of the creek,
My brand new bow.
pitch dark, and there's this angry. I mean, if you'd have heard him smack the water, he's angry. This angry beaver that does not want us in his area. And we gotta what are we gonna do?
And I'm almost like the hell with the bows. That's how I
We're
felt at the time.
We're clawing on this 12-foot bank. I mean, what do we do? We're getting attacked. I mean, that's
My waders are filling up. My bow's at the bottom of this river. I'm like, the hell with it. Let's go.
well. Anyway, so we calmed down a little bit. I'm like, okay, it's a beaver. I don't know that they've ever killed a human being. Like, if you look at all the people that ever died in the history of people that
This
have
would
died,
be that one moment that it happened.
I
though.
don't. Well, because we're stupid. I don't know if there's ever been like a death certificate that says beaver killed you. So I don't know that it's ever happened.
No, that's technically.
So we calm down just a little bit. We take the paddle. We wade out there. Boom, we hit a bow. Okay, well, we got to scoop this thing up. So we scoop up one bow. We scoop up the other bow.
We scoop up his bow first, of course.
I'm ready to
Then
go.
he was ready to
Piece of
go.
crap.
Then he was ready to go.
After that, I'm
You
ready
still
to go.
ready, Joe? Let's
his
go.
pulsar.
Hey, I'm still hunting with the same bow. So anyway, we find our bows. We get on there. And I'm not joking. I don't know the exact terminology. I don't know exactly how he phrased it, but I can tell you right now, Joe let me know in no uncertain terms we would not be doing that again. Like, hey, you know what? I don't care if there's a Boone and Crockett times 10 back there. It doesn't
Right.
matter to me. Like, hunting shouldn't be this hard. So figure it out. We should not be going this
First off,
deep.
we're spending money on this lease
Right.
That we're dropping the canoe off into.
Right.
And then going off into federal ground. What are we doing here?
And then there's a parking lot down on federal ground that
That's right.
would have got us there like a whole lot easier, like a whole lot
Which we
quicker.
found the next year. Parking lot.
But I tell you what, that's part of the learning process. I mean, it was good memories. You can't replace that.
Well, it certainly got a lot easier now the way we're doing things, right?
Well, as you get older, it seems like things get easier.
Right. A lot of ladder stands and
Food plots.
food plots. We've learned, I guess.
The technology's gotten better, obviously.
We still haven't had a whole lot of luck with leases, though.
No,
No.
that's true.
No.
No.
That is
Although
true.
Joey did this year. He can't complain. Craig and I didn't have much luck.
Yeah, no complaints from me.
Yeah. Killed Double D's buck.
Yep. Double D12.
The Double
actually.
D12 this year.
It was your buck.
That was my buck.
I know.
That was my buck. We had Craig's 8,
Well, we'll
Joe's
name
9, and Double D's 12.
Joe's 9.
Yeah. So yeah, this place we leased in Southern Illinois, a great area. I mean, really great area. We know a couple guys over there. Or I know one guy over there who's on.
Yeah, it's
very
right on
popular
the
show.
right on the border of Saline and Gallatin County. That's
Yeah.
a really good area.
Really,
for
really
big
good
bucks.
area. And the place we have, I mean, it's a nice farm. It's just not really enough for the three of us. It's hard to hunt. It's hard to hunt going through that big field, but
And the wind, it's a predominant, during November, you're going to get a November wind, and the wind is just blowing straight up the mountain, and
Yeah.
you're just constantly getting picked off. I've never been picked off as much as I had on
Right.
that farm.
If you're hunting in the morning, you're pushing deer off the field. If you're hunting in the evening, the wind's blowing up to them.
And they're not going to come down. Yeah.
It's just a horrible.
so it was really, really tough.
I think
But,
we'd know that before we started. But
Before we
I mean,
leased it.
yeah. I mean, but I'm thinking about, it's a great area.
who knows what might
Right.
happen?
Who knows what could happen?
Even how they travel the farm. I mean, they can travel the woods. Long
Right.
way. You don't know.
And
I mean,
they were going laterally, too.
Yeah,
they weren't
we
just
were
going
pulling from a pretty big area.
north to south, south to north. They
but we
did
got nothing all summer
No.
until, which we didn't even go over there. We just decided we
Just
hadn't even
let it
bought
lay.
our Illinois bow tag.
That's
yet.
true. Well, we weren't even for sure we were going to buy a bow tag.
Right. We were just, we
That's
already
how bad
applied
that-
for our gun tag, so we had that. But we thought, you know what? It's November. Let's go over there and see what we have. We had cameras up everywhere. Had our Browning trail cameras up everywhere. And
I had better pictures here in Missouri.
Right behind your house.
Yeah. Yep.
But we checked that one camera that we had over the scrape in the corner of the little food plot
Yeah.
where I broadcast those turnips, which turned out really well.
Yeah,
but
they did.
we had that. The first one we pulled up was that 8-pointer, I think. As we're clicking through these pictures, they had like
Craig 8.
400 or 500. Right, yeah. So we had a pretty nice 8-pointer. It's like, oh, Craig, that's a
118 inches.
That's my wheelhouse.
yeah. He might have been pushing Pope and Young, maybe. But considering what we had out there, we didn't have anything over 100 inches.
No,
to
that's
that
true.
point. So this one looked like you look like
got
a
something to
booner.
do.
Yeah, at least we got something to hunt.
Once again, the reason why we weren't going to get a bow tag. I mean, it was
Right.
like, wow.
Right. It was
there's
that bad.
Awesome.
nothing here.
It was that bad. But the landowner told us that, well, I guess he bought it last fall and
And
put
he had
some
cameras
cameras
up.
out.
Yeah, he did have
and
some
he
good
said, I
pics.
got some good bucks
Yeah.
on camera. So we thought, well, maybe we got a ton of does. We got a ton of does on
Big
on
Shawnee
cameras.
Woods behind it.
Right. So
And the
I thought,
problem
well,
is,
maybe the bucks
and in
will be dead.
Illinois, legally, you cannot put mineral out or any kind of little licking area to get some good picks. So
Right.
you're really just kind of
Hoping
hoping
one
for the
walks.
best. One walks through, or you gotta, you set up
Well,
a
we
mock
finally
scrape.
put up the mock scrape.
Yeah,
is
and
where we
that's-
finally got
That's what
it.
helped us. That's
Yeah.
what
Or
made
got
it happen.
the buck. So we got the Craig's 8, which I'll put that one on Craig right away. And Craig's like, oh, I'll take it.
Is that,
You
is
bet
that the
I
one?
would- The one I ended up killing wasn't Craig's 8. It was
So
a
what was
small
what was that one called? Little bitty 8,
It was
little 8.
Actually, that was Joe's number 2 buck.
Oh,
It's
was
supposed
it?
to be Joe's. Yeah.
That was that my number one shooter bug?
No. We had number 9. So
Oh,
then that
that's right.
9-pointer
He wasn't
showed
bad.
up.
I killed in
He
a
was-
pinch, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a
That's
bad
how bad
day?
it was. That's how bad it was. We got to about 100. The biggest buck we got was that 115-inch 8-pointer. We're like, well, he'll do in a pinch, I guess. So
Yeah.
they got the name Pinch. We started
That's
calling
right.
him Pinch.
That's right.
But we got the 9-pointer. So we had Craig's 8. Flipped through the pictures. Got Craig's 8. Flipped through the more pictures. And we got Joe's 9. It was mid 130. So yeah,
Decent deer.
we got Craig's 8 pushing maybe 120s, mid 120s at the most. We got Joe's 9 pushing 130.
30s, yeah.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
brows.
early
Good brows.
130s. And then we got the picture. And it was Double D's buck.
That's right. The double
Yeah.
D12.
The Double D 12. Big mainframe 12-point. We couldn't tell how many the brow tines, really. We just knew it was a mess down there, right?
Yeah.
Just heavy and tall and
It's funny when you're the chief hunter how you get to name
that's
these
right.
deer.
That's right.
Double D's 12.
Double D's 12.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
We're going home that day when he got the picture, and I still wasn't sold on getting the tag. He'd already. The thing is, he did it himself. He talked me out of it. I'm like, we pretty much said
Oh,
we're not
way.
going to bow hunt in Illinois because there's no deer.
Well,
on
that's
our
why we
farm.
went over there. I said, we're only going to bow hunt if we get
And we got one.
A
and
really
I'm like,
big buck.
He called it, so I'm still not buying a tag.
So, Double D's 12, and I instantly guessed. I thought
You said 167.
I said 167 is what I guessed. Looking
Seriously?
at the trail
You said
camera
that?
picture.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You were within 1 inch of the guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was funny because you called it Double D's 12, and I was all about that because I'm thinking, okay, anybody that's going to be that way, like, it's not going to go that way. So I'm like, yeah, let's do
let's
that.
call it that.
That's the
Yeah.
name.
Right.
Never works out, does it?
Nope.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I kept my
in
mouth
my
shut.
life, it never
I
does.
kept my
Right.
mouth shut too, man, for sure.
Yeah. So we went over that would have been early November. Like, I don't know what day was that. Probably
Third,
No,
fourth,
what?
fifth.
third or fourth.
When we got the
fifth,
first pick?
I don't know. Early November when we went over there
Oh,
to
yeah.
check them.
How many
Yeah.
picks did
So
we
we
get during
probably
that
got-
sequence?
I don't know, a dozen pictures, but he was on every
Every
single
camera.
camera
Yeah, he was.
that we had.
Every camera.
Every single
You got
camera. He
video of
showed
him
up
as well, right?
Right. He showed
Yeah.
up.
But it was all nighttime. No daytime pics.
Yeah, and there was no daytime. Nope. The closest we got to daylight was like an hour and a half after sunset.
Yeah.
That was the closest we got on that mock scrape.
The mock scrape.
But he was all over.
Yeah. Over on the where you hunted every time in the evening.
Yeah.
Your spot, the
Pretty
Double
much,
D
yeah.
spot.
Where we
Double
got the
D
most
spot with a
pictures.
double D12.
Basically, the
No,
best
That
actually,
makes
spot
we
we
perfect
got,
sense.
we actually got more pictures in the center down the logging road.
Oh, here we
Joe's
go.
spot.
Oh, Joe's
Yeah,
spot.
Joe's spot that I hung his stand for him. I told him to hang his stand right here, and you'll have a shot at him.
But after we hung the stand, you weren't satisfied with that spot, were you? We
What,
we
on
hung
Joe's spot?
Yeah, we hung that stand about 6 feet off the ground.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it was 9.
No, that's
9
another
feet.
story.
Was it 9?
That's another
No,
story.
that's a,
As you get older, you don't want to get as high. I know.
Right.
Bones
no,
are brittle.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you right now, that stand was way too low. That's what almost cost me that deer. I still believe that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right,
It for sure cost you not getting it on film. For sure.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So we had this
Completely.
buck. So Joey,
Thanks for the criticism.
right.
Greg.
So we decided that we're going to go buy our Illinois tags now. We've got a potential booner.
So I was going home, free and clear, not going to spend any money. Next
500
thing I
bucks
know,
in your
we're at Rural King, where that place is called. Is that what it's called?
Rural King on the way home.
Yeah.
to
Not
buy
only
our
do we get the
tags.
freaking tag, but I buy a stand as well. He talks me into a stand. You can't walk out of a store or walk out of his office without spending $150. You can't.
So you didn't hunt
I was
this
hunting in
place.
No, I was
you were
hunting
hunting
in
your lease in
Pulaski.
Pulaski.
So as soon as that was like, as soon as you named it Diddy's buck, I'm like, well,
You're gone.
I'm done. I'm out. There's only one deer on that farm, and it ain't gonna happen. So I'm gonna hunt my normal farm that I.
But you had several good bucks on
No, I did.
cameras, which is
I did.
when we only had that one really good one.
That was the first time we got a good pick over there. So yeah,
Right.
I wasn't hunting with you
Well,
guys.
no, what it was is you had to you had to work the first couple days that Joey and I went over
Yeah.
there. So Joey and I started hunting it, and
The picks,
that like
picks were
November-
showing up though.
pics were showing up.
November
yeah.
6th, November 7th.
We hung your stand. We already had the stand hung over the turnips.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we had hung all the stands. So
Well,
did
I
that in the
hung that one
summertime.
stand in the in that wood strip where we seen a lot of rubs
yeah,
and a
I
lot
was
of
there
scrapes.
that day. So
yeah,
we
so
hung,
we hung the
That's
stands.
the day we got the pictures.
We
and
got the pictures and we brought stands with
Yeah.
us. That's what it was.
That's right.
So I hung one in that strip
Yep.
because it's a travel corridor from the woods across the road. And what's that river that runs through the Saline River?
Saline River.
Yep.
Right, the Saline River. So I hang a stand there. We hang mine, and instantly I knew I was like, "This is the worst spot." You know, I'm already giving it up.
I was glad you picked that spot.
Yeah, I know you were. I know you.
Hey,
were.
you had first pick, man. That's what you said. You wanted.
No, I didn't say I had. First
All I
pick.
said
We
was
just
I
hanging
wanted to
stands.
be somewhere up in the bigger hills,
Right.
and you can go anywhere you want, but I want to make sure I'm up somewhere up there.
Well, we all three.
yeah, we were going to.
We
yeah.
all three could have got up there,
We
but I
could've.
thought, you know what? I'm thinking to myself, we all don't need to be up there.
Well,
All
at the
three of
same
us don't
time,
need
I
to
mean,
be up there
honestly,
at the
your
same
thoughts.
time.
If we didn't, before we knew the travel of all the vehicles, your thoughts were good. I
Yeah.
mean, the fact that was a good pinch point right there,
Right.
connecting two big blocks of
Right.
timber. It makes sense. But what we didn't realize, because we didn't know the farm, was the fact that there's a ton of traffic right through there,
Right.
and that's why I think that spot was not what you thought it was going to be.
Right.
Right? Would you?
Yeah, I
would you
think
agree
so.
with that?
Well, leading up to the day you killed yours, so we hung your stand right off that logging road where we got the majority of that buck traveling.
Yeah.
So your stand's probably what,
Probably 100
100 yards from
120
the edge
yards.
of the field.
Yeah.
All right, so hang your stand, and then we go hang Craig's stand on the far end. And we knew Joey had never hunt Craig's stand because it was...
Oh, I guarantee that. No, it was 30 feet up, and it was...
A Baker?
No, it was 30 feet up, and it was on a mountain already. It felt like it
Right.
was 60 feet up.
Yeah.
Although with that rope, I think I might have done it. You know, whatever you call those lifeline ropes.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that now, by the way. I'm all in on that.
So Joey and I started hunting, and the first day wasn't the first day you killed, right?
No.
First day we didn't...
Day 3.
Yeah, we didn't have much. Second day we didn't... We saw some deer.
I saw some deer, yeah.
We saw some deer, but nothing...
I just kept... All these deer in the mornings were blowing behind me because,
Right.
you know, the wind.
The
north
wind. We had
was
really
just-
bad wind. That was the problem.
I have never
First 2
heard the
days.
amount of deer blow like they did in this area that we were at. It was unbelievable.
Right. So the third day, we're hunting that morning. Craig, you were working still. You were going to join us the next day,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I think so.
You were going to come in that night, and
That's
then
right.
we're going to hunt the next day. So I'm hunting that morning,
November 7th.
November 7th, and it gets to be about, I don't know, 9:30 or so. And I'm hunting pretty close to the neighbor's property, maybe not far, 20 yards off the line. But all the, I'm looking for all the activity in front of me. I'm hunting the wind, basically. I got to get on the other side of this line. But anyways, I see the neighbor. It's a big, long field, and he's probably 300, 400 yards away. He comes out of the woods on his four-wheeler. And then I thought, okay, no big deal. Well, then he comes back in on his four-wheeler. I thought, well, maybe he killed something out there. And then he comes back out and riding through the
Good
field on his
Lord.
four-wheeler at 9:30.
Then
He comes back in again, and here comes a truck. And they park right in the middle of the field. So we were texting back and forth.
Right.
And I'm ready to get some biscuits and gravy.
That's right.
So, but at this point, all this moving, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to move my stand because I'm not hunting here again. There's too much going on in this field beside me. So I told you,
Yeah.
or you said, well, I'll get down and help you. I was like, no, don't worry about it. Just keep hunting, and I'll take this stand down. I'll move it. It'll take an hour for me to move it to where I want to, and then we'll go. Then we'll go do something. Well, in that little time,
That's when everything happened.
that's when everything happened.
Yeah.
Made history.
Yeah, it was actually it was about 10:30. So it was you text me what 9:45,
9:45 said I was
So
going
you
to take
get
my
down?
stand down. It'll take me an hour.
and I just after talking to you I made the decision just to stay. And yeah, 10:30 I'm looking due north into the 100 yards away from me is an uncut bean field. So it's a bean field standing beans.
Probably 50 acres.
Yeah.
50 acre field. 40,
Yeah,
50
something like
acre.
that. Yeah. And all I see is a deer running right towards me, kind of bebobbing through
You'd
the
seen
beans.
some deer that morning.
I'd
too.
seen a bunch. That's kind of another reason why I was kind of good staying because I'd seen 7, 8 deer and a couple small bucks. And they were out in front of me, which was beautiful because if deer are in front of me, they won't smell me. So they were kind of laterally running, but along the bean field. So that movement was great. If it was behind me, it sucked. But this is all in front of me. So I see this deer running. I can't tell you how. I didn't know what it was. And it was 300 yards away, but it just kept coming because I could see down the logging road in front of me, so I could see the opening to
There's
the bean
still
field.
a lot of trees and a lot of
Yeah,
foliage still in the...
Right, but I could see this one opening, and
You're
it
what,
just
7,500 yards off the bean field?
about 120 yards off. It cuts into that opening. This deer, and I still don't know what it is. It cuts into the opening and makes a hard right, back kind of towards where you were at. Of course, you were further out. You would have never saw it. So
I would have
don't
never
make
saw it.
yourself
No, he
feel
would have
bad.
went to...
Yeah, he wasn't coming to you.
No.
He was just going to go back up.
He was probably going to cut the edge
Head
of that
south.
turnip field.
And then head
And head
south.
up, yeah.
Wow.
Head up. So he cuts the corner, and as he cuts the corner, the lights shine on his beams, and I still don't know what it is, but I see that it's a buck. That's all I know. I don't know if it's a good buck or what. I just see beams, and I immediately grab my grunt tube, and I hit it one time, just as loud as I could go, and he just locks up.
Is he in the bean field or in the
No,
woods?
he's
yet?
in the woods. He's on
Okay.
the edge of the woods, but he's already. I mean, he's a good 150 yards away from me. But it's really quiet that day, no wind, and I lock him up. I hit it one more time, and he looks right in my direction. I hit it one more time, and he makes a beeline to me on a string. I mean, and he's not walking; he's like trotting. So now I'm getting the So think about this: we sell film all these hunts, and which sucks, honestly, because it's super hard.
Right.
It's the hardest thing to do. I mean, first off, killing a big mature whitetail is the hardest thing on the planet. But to kill a big whitetail with the camera going is
Not
almost
only,
impossible.
Well, with the camera going, but then on top of that, self-videoing it.
Yeah,
Not to mention you're on a piece of property you've only been on 4 times.
Right. Yeah.
It's
We just
next to
picked it
impossible.
up.
And I'm not making excuses, but it's just hard. If you've ever done it, or if you're thinking about doing it, do it. More power to you. It's a ton of fun, but it's crazy hard. So this deer's coming in on a string, and he's kind of trotting in. So I'm not even looking. And that's the sad part. So you miss all that good stuff because I can't focus on the deer. I'm turning the camera on. I'm getting my. I'm getting positioned around. Put the grunt tube up. I'm getting everything set. I got my bow, which is great. It's on a hanger, so it's right above my camera. But the damn camera takes a little bit to come on. So I get that on. I start recording, and he is at that moment 10 yards in front of me, but behind this big tree and a bunch of brush.
Well, you're also dealing with the tree we put your stand in.
Because you only put it 8 feet up, so the fork in the tree is real thick.
So it's a tree that splits at the base.
It does.
It's a double trunk.
It's a double trunk tree, and I'm not 8. I'm about 15, but it's still too low. That's my problem.
I'd say 12.
Yeah, probably 13.
12.
It's
a great gun spot.
Right.
That's not even good for gun. It's good for kids. There you go. It's good for
12.
It's good for 12 and under.
Kids, women who are scared of heights.
Yes, including me. I've gotten pitiful in my older age. Okay, so anyway, he locks up at 10 yards. And I try to, it happens so fast. He locks up.
Now, did you bee at him or he just?
No, not yet.
He just
So
stopped
when we say bee, that's Joey's stop call.
Yeah,
so
that's
a lot
my
of
stop call.
A lot of stops like mine is, meh,
Beep.
and that's Craig's. Joey is.
It's B. Like the letter B, but you got to like hold them when you do it.
He learned that from that deer at Illinois way back when in the swamp.
Yeah, no,
that he didn't stop.
That actually comes back to Duck Creek, man. It all comes full circle. If I would have beat it, the one at Duck Creek and the one in Illinois, back with Derek, yeah.
Right.
So I mean, I'm telling you, the bee has killed me a lot of deer. It has. You got to hold them and just scream it. That's the way it works.
Gotta hear it.
That's the way it works. Anyway, so this deer's coming in. He doesn't really stop, but what happens, he does stop just for a second, but he comes in, and I got the camera. And here's the thing. The way he was positioned, he was going to walk right in front of my stand, right on the log road, 10 yards. So I already set the camera, which is what you do when you're kind of self-filming a lot.
You anticipate
where he's going to be. And so I anticipated him being in front of me, so I had that all ready to go. And when he locks up back there, I'm like, holy crap. I see him stick his head straight up, and I know that the game's over. He smelt me. So where we're hunting. It's a big bottom, and it's just constantly swirling down.
Big hill behind you.
Big hill behind me. So you never really get that great of consistent wind. And he stuck his head up. I knew it was over. And that moment which is what you see in the video, because all you see, and you've seen it, Derek, is you see his legs, and he comes to that point, and he just takes off.
Right.
And he takes off because he smells me. And so my positioning of the camera is completely wrong. Now, keep in mind also, like they said, this is a V tree. So there's a big V in the tree. So I luckily was able to. So here's basically what happened. He takes off. I said, the hell with the camera at that point. I've seen the deer now. I see how big it is.
You didn't know he was double D's 12.
I didn't know it was double D's 12. I just knew that it was a hell of a big deer.
If it was double D's 12, would you have passed?
I might have passed. No. For Derek, I probably would have passed.
Chief hunter.
Biggest deer I've seen. And so what I do basically is just instinct. I pull my bow back. I pull my bow back. I lift my left arm all the way up because I have to get through the V. Straight up.
So the V is only, what is the spread of your gap where your stand is?
14 inches, 14 inches.
Yeah.
So I have to pull my bow back on this side, take my left arm all the way up, and get through it. And as I'm doing all this, I'm being the crap out of this guy. I hit him. Well, you've heard the video. I've hit him, how many times? 5 times. And he wouldn't stop. That's why I kept doing it. And the last one, I really held on tight.
Give us an example.
I gave him a good beep. Loud as I could go. I locked him up. And when I pulled back, I still had some brush, so I had to kind of lean down. I leaned down probably 5 or 6 inches. I didn't kneel down, but I leaned, bent my back as much as I could, and just had one opening and squeezed one off. And you seen the knock. And I had lighted knocks, and I seen that the positioning was perfect, left to right. but I felt in my gut I was low. You know, I mean, I seen it. I felt like it went in, and then he took off, and it looked like, you know, I kind of see where he went. But we've all been there when you have that moment. You're like, oh crap, did I just miss that deer? Or what happened?
Right.
I tell you, when you squat, you change that angle.
Are you sure?
Sure. It messes with you.
And plus, he was on complete. You know, he was.
Was
he
he
was
eye
on
level?
edge.
Was he eye level?
No,
Yeah.
he was he was still a little bit. He was
below
still a
you?
little bit below me. Yeah, a little bit. You seen the angle? You saw, and
Right.
the brush back there. That's the thing
brush,
about it.
yeah.
I didn't clear any shooting lanes back there at all because you don't anticipate you're ever going to get a
Yeah.
shot back, especially behind that tree between the
I mean, he's
peaks.
getting out of the way, right? I mean, he's running, getting away
He's
from you
gone.
because he smelled you.
So he was 35 yards. Looking back now, he was 35 yards, and I shot him for 30, and I hit him low.
low. Plus, you were squatted a little bit.
Squatted a little
But
bit.
you didn't know exactly where you hit him.
No.
But seeing him, he was running through there, and it looked like you thought he was stumbling.
It did seem like he was stumbling.
Right.
Yeah. When he took off, I saw him like 50 yards, and then he cut over that hillside.
Right. So I get
lost
the
him.
text. You send me the text, and did you come out? I think
I did. I went and looked at the arrow.
You went and looked at
all
the
I
arrow.
did was look at the arrow.
Covered
and
in
it was
blood.
Completely covered in blood.
Covered in blood.
So that
You
got
come
me
out,
excited.
and we looked at the footage. Of course, we saw his feet
Yeah,
and
that's
belly.
all we saw.
I
That's
think
all
we got a
we saw.
little bit of
We got
his
a little bit of
belly
belly.
cutting through the frame. And then you hear Joey, bee, stopping him on the fifth one,
At
finally.
least 5 times. Yeah.
So you saw
Right.
the video. You're thinking,
I
okay.
listened to the video.
Chief Hunter watched it. He's thinking, okay, he's killed a 6-pointer. He's got a 4-pointer.
yeah,
Right.
that's true.
That's all you can say.
Well,
After he-
Joey's
after he
history.
yells
All right,
at
so
me.
we'll go back to
Oh, here we go again.
go back to our early days hunting in Illinois. This was when we started hunting together. The three of us started hunting together. When I jumped on the lease, on your current lease
Yeah.
that you have, that you're hopefully going to purchase here soon. But so I jumped in on that lease, and Joey texted me at like 2 in the afternoon. We just got set up. I just got everything set up, the camera and everything. We just started filming.
I'm a killer.
Yeah.
Grunted.
And then Joey texted, "Oh, I just killed it. Just killed a giant." I was
Grunted
like,
him
"Really?"
in.
He's like, "Pope and Young, easy." I was like, "Really?"
Good browse.
I was like, "You want me to get down now?" He's like, "Nah, don't get down." He said, "Just keep hunting." I was like, "Are you sure? I'll get down." "Okay, get down. Let's go get him." so we go get him, and a little bit of shrinkage.
but he was. But you saw.
He was
him.
I know it
yeah,
wasn't
he was an
bad.
8-pointer.
He was an 8-pointer.
He was an 8-pointer.
Yeah,
One,
no, he was
115-ish.
No, he was 118 and some change.
118. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right,
So
he did have a little
I get the
shrinkage,
text. So
but it was a
back to
beautiful
this.
shot, 40-yard shot. Money.
Right through a hole, small hole,
Yeah.
little window.
Money shot.
Little, yeah. So back to
That whole
this
weight.
fall. Yeah, back to this fall. So I get the text, and Joey's monster. So I think, okay,
Here we go.
probably
again.
shot Craig's 8. So I was like, good.
Or-
Double
or
these
maybe
12s
pinch.
still out there. Yeah, or pinch. Because pinch.
What are you spouting on?
I'm
about?
not. I'm not. I'm on your side.
I'm on your side.
So we go back, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll at least see the footage and see how big he is. Well, no footage.
Yeah, that was
But
bad.
so we listened to the footage, and it sounded like a cavity shot, like a lung shot. You hear that?
Rip.
Yeah, the
Pop.
that thwack. You know what I mean? You can just hear that sound. You hear you've shot him in the shoulder before, and it's a hard,
Yeah.
loud. But this was like that soft tissue
Rip.
rip,
Yeah.
right? So I think, okay, that sounded good. Joey's telling us that he was stumbling. He said the arrow's covered in blood. Saw him stumbling. So I thought, okay, everything sounds like a good double lung hit. Who knows? Heart hit, possibly. You never know. He said he was stumbling, and then he disappeared. What'd you say? Not far out of
No, 50 yards.
50
Yeah.
yards, he disappeared. So, but we still go have breakfast. Got
Yep.
our biscuits and gravy, which I was looking for that anyways.
So anyway, just so you guys, I'm hunting a different farm, so I get a text. All right, no one tells me this deer's big. Okay,
Yeah.
they're like, hey,
We're still not sure though. I mean,
no, I know
truthfully.
you're not sure. You're not sure yet. But I get this text. Hey, Joe shot one this morning. I'm like, all right, that's great. It's awesome. It's like, hey, come over and help us. Let's find this thing. All right. I'm like, okay. So this is a 2-hour drive probably from where I'm hunting. I'm like, oh, all right, it's fine. And then I get this text that says, hey, by the way, there's this bar in Harrisburg. It's awesome. Like, I mean, awesome. The food is amazing. It's just great atmosphere. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm going.
That was that.
Right.
So no
That
one
sold you
tells
on it,
me.
right?
It did sell me on it because no one told me. No one told me. No one said, hey, I think it's a good deer. So we get to the bar that night. You guys you guys got more story to tell, but we get to the bar that night, and the bar is awesome, by the way. It is awesome. So food's great, and then Joe starts talking about how big this deer is. I'm like, you guys didn't even sell me on how big the deer is. You sold me on this bar, and this is what got me
We
here.
have to get the alcoholic
Right.
So anyway, that's my part of it, but go ahead.
So yeah, before that, so Joey and I decided we were going a couple hours for breakfast by the time we drove to town, come back.
It's after 1.
It's after 1. Yeah, it's after 1. So we decide, let's go check it out. We go check it out, and blood is just everywhere. So this,
I've never seen this much blood. You didn't even get to see how much blood there was, but it's unbelievable amount of blood.
You thought he was stumbling
Yeah.
through the woods, and so these woods they've been cut. They've taken the logs out. So there's
Straight
tree
up
tops
A lot
everywhere.
of treetops.
Super, super thick.
Steep, going
steep
straight
is all
up a
good.
hill.
Very
Rocky, steep.
Right.
Heading towards deep Shawnee Forest.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're following the blood. The amount of blood is just, it's unreal. I
I've
mean, it's
never
as
seen
thick
that
as
much
any
blood.
blood I've ever
Yeah.
seen. And he goes into these treetops, and it's so, I mean, you can't see down in there until you get in there. We think, oh, he's got to be laying in there, So we get through this treetop. Well, he made it through somehow. He goes into the next one. He's got to be in here. There's no way he's going uphill can get through this. We go to the next one. And we went through like 4 treetops.
And you could see where he would stop, and when he stopped for a second, it would just be a pile of blood.
Right. So we're thinking, which it felt like we went a long way, but it was so thick it just took us so
And you're going
long.
straight up.
We're going straight up.
Distance-wise, you're
Zigzagging
probably
straight
talking
up.
100 yards, but it took you
Right.
250, 300 just to get to that spot.
It felt like more than 100.
Right. And then behind it is the public woods.
Yeah.
And it's just big timber, just clear. You can see
Clear,
forever.
yeah.
Clear.
Wide open.
Right. So we get to the edge of our lease, and at that point, we can really see. We're sitting there thinking we should stop and just come back, right?
Yeah, we were at that time. Yeah.
At that time, but we thought there was kind of one little corner or rock we wanted to get to. Well, let's get to here, and so that way we can. That's what it was. We wanted to see around this rock to see if he's possible.
I think we were actually even mapping on some different, apps that spot. We were marking spots.
Getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were getting ready to leave, marking some spots.
Because you guys wanted me to come over, go to the bar, and then the next morning you just have me there for that, right?
Right. Well, no,
that came a little bit
that
later.
came a little later, right? Yeah, we thought we were going to celebrate.
That was the plan.
That was the plan. But we walked another 10 yards just so we could see kind of around this rock and corner. And Joey's got his head down looking at blood, or possibly you were mapping.
I think
you were,
yeah.
You're punching in the coordinates. And I look up the hill on top of the mountain. It's literally, it's as steep as Colorado where we're walking. It just doesn't go as far. But we get up to this mountain, and there's a giant rock at the top. And I see a buck stand up, turn around, and take off. And
Was he stumbling at all? Could you tell?
I couldn't tell, but I had the camera running. I was running the camera, and you can just hear me say, "Oh my God, he's a monster."
Yeah. He's a blank monster.
And right, he's a blank monster. And Joey's like, "What? What did you say? How big was he?" I was like, "He was a monster." And I didn't want to tell Joe how big he was, but I think you heard me under my voice.
I did.
It was just instinct. I was like, "Oh my God, he's a monster." And he takes off, and they always look bigger
Running
from behind,
away.
right?
Yeah.
Running away.
Yeah.
And you kept thinking, I think he's double D's 12. I think he's that 12-pointer.
I always thought that.
And when I saw him run away, I was like, I think he's bigger than that. Because it just looks so big running away.
Wall of tines.
Yeah.
Right. So at that point,
That's why. I mean, you think about back to like Dongola. Maybe you guys were hunting 120 inch. You just didn't know.
you didn't know. Right. Right. Except for my 180.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Joey is, we're dejected.
Oh, I'm just
You're
done.
sick. You're sick. You're absolutely sick.
So how many hours have passed since you shot? 4, 5?
10:30 and we
about
started
3.
Yeah, about 3.
By the time we got to where we jumped him, about
And
3.
a lot of people, you can hindsight, you can coach this thing to death, but the truth is, I felt like we did everything we needed to do the proper way because
the amount of the blood.
because the amount of blood. If there wouldn't have been that much blood, we would have backed down. We gave it 2 or 3 hours, and the blood was unbelievable. But I think we did end up, you can make mistakes and you can screw up, but if you can stop making mistakes and start over, you can still save the day, and that's what we did. We stopped making mistakes.
We stopped right as soon as, well, really what we
You get one mistake.
Yes.
You don't get
Right.
two.
No, you don't.
I was thinking possible liver hit based on the amount of blood because you get a ton of blood, and it'll take 6 hours
it
for
just
them to
wasn't
die in
that
a
damn
liver.
dark.
But I was just thinking.
Single lung are like that too.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
Right.
that's
I was just thinking that when you talked about you saw him stumbling, I was like, well, he's got to
I
be
know.
laying here. And you just see the next thicket, treetop, and you're thinking, well, it's just right there. He's got to be laying right there. But we should have stopped as soon as we got out. But anyways, we jumped him. We backed out. Craig met us at the bar.
I got drunk.
it's a good bar.
Right.
I was so.
Uh-huh.
You're dejected, you know. I
Right.
mean, the biggest animal you've ever been in front of, and you feel like maybe you screwed it up.
But we go back the next day.
Well, yeah.
Picked up the trail.
And also, when I got there, you guys were.
Well, Derek got me back up.
You guys were a little bit down when I got there, but you start talking about the size of the animal, how much blood there was. I'm like, guys, the animals don't bleed that much. If it's what you say, yes, you know. And I had just the year before I had shot a deer single lung with shotgun, and I'm not kidding. I gave it 5 hours, and when I went to go get it,
Still alive.
it stood up. I mean, so
Yeah.
you know, I'm just like, this deer's gonna die, so we're good here. So anyway,
So we go back the next day, and the thing we were concerned about was no blood. Right?
Yeah, because typically when they jump out of that first
Start
bed,
running.
and they're bedded and they jump,
it's not
you
good.
lose blood.
Yeah, you guys saw it take off running. So, I mean, to me, when I was there, so I'm starting where it starts running, and we go through a pine thicket. And I don't know if you guys know pine needles, they don't show blood real well. We're going through this pine thicket, and yeah, we're slow going, but I'm like, okay, there's a drop.
Right.
There's a
But
drop.
I wasn't real concerned.
I wasn't either. To me, that's
You were.
me, that's a lot of blood when you're in. I mean, if you ever follow a deer over a plowed field, it is hard.
But you didn't get to see what the blood was the day before.
No, I know. But you guys are like, there's not much blood. I'm like, okay, we're in a pine thicket, and it soaks up. You don't.
Plus, he's
see
running.
it. Yeah, he's running. So I'm thinking this deer's, in my opinion, I'm like, okay, if this deer's running, it's done. Because based on how much blood you guys said, I mean, so, you know, I would say maybe the worst case, we're looking for not even a minute. We're finding the next one. Okay, we're finding the next one. You know,
and you could also see its tracks. I mean, in the pine. I mean,
That's
it was
true.
That's right.
knocking that up. But
Yeah.
Well, we get through that pine thicket and
It opened back up again, didn't
it opened back
back
up.
in the
and
hardwoods, and
you
then
guys kept looking, and I spotted him for at least a couple minutes before you guys did down in the hill.
Oh, you got the camera
Played
going.
it out, yeah.
And you haven't seen that yet. I wish I did bring my camera because you could play it right now. But that scene of Craig and I kind of down on all fours, really digging in, looking for the blood. And you're running the camera, watching us. Then you pan over to the deer, and then you pan back to us, and see our reaction when
When
we're
I
like,
finally
"What?"
said, I was like, I just can't let you look
Yeah.
anymore. It's like, look down the hill.
it's so pathetic.
That was cool.
But yeah, but it's a great buck. 168 and 4/8. Is that what it was?
167.
167 and 4/8.
So you're right on the
And
gas.
I guessed 167 from the get go.
You're right on it, man.
Yep.
You know
Yeah.
what was different on your guess is it wasn't, the beams weren't as long as you thought, but it had more mass than you had anticipated.
Right.
I believe that was the trade-off.
think
Did you?
so.
What about the? Was there 4 extra points, scoreable points?
That is true.
Right. So
Yeah.
mainframe 12, and each brow tine had 2 kickers coming off.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like turkey fit.
Matter
brow
of fact,
tines
here,
on each side.
let's just show the folks the deer, real quick. Why not? Right? I mean, we're talking about it.
I can just insert the picture and overlay it.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah, I can do
Well,
that.
let's just. Do
I
that.
can tell you, I mean, it is a
But it is
mainframe
a great-
12. It is a gorgeous.
Great deer.
Yeah,
Great
my
deer.
biggest buck ever. No
Yeah.
doubt about it. It's awesome.
Yep. Great deer.
Yeah, that was fun. Just hanging out with you guys and doing the
Oh.
recovery. That was a good day. That goes down. I mean, I've had some great days. I think the recovery day was better than the actual shooting day of that deer.
Well, it was for Joey because we hauled it out.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
true.
we're like a mile and a half back now at this point because it's running 800 miles an
Right.
hour.
True.
So yeah, that was.
At least he died on top of the mountain. Well, not quite. We had to go over one. We had to go up one, but then it was all downhill.
It's downhill.
That was a son of a gun, though, wasn't it?
I know. It's tough running that camera while Craig and I drug it out.
Yeah, we would rotate so 2 people would grab the
I
antlers,
was
and then
field producing.
it's amazing when Derek and I had it. It seemed like Joe would let the time go. It was like a minute and a half. Okay, let's switch. And then when he would grab it, like, okay, 15 seconds go by. Okay, time to switch. I feel like I just did this.
Craig, you and I would talk about it. It's like, oh, it's so much easier when we're pulling it.
Come on now.
But things have gotten
Good day.
easier. Things have gotten easier from where we all started.
No,
no doubt about
no
it.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
You think about all those years, those learning experiences. Literally. We're riding a kayak together down this dirty, nasty river, getting attacked by beaver. And you think about how you progress as a hunter and what your perception is. Seriously, your perception of, what do I need to do to put myself in a position to be successful? And it changes. And I'm not even there. I'm not even making the claim that I'm a good hunter, but that process is so enjoyable, and you look back and you're like, I was so stupid. How could I think that way? How could my brain come to that conclusion? And it changes, over time. It's just like, okay, this is the way I should be doing. This is the things that I should be doing. You find one little thing that works. You find one little thing that works. Like, okay, I can do that. But then you got to expand from there. It's not an all or nothing type deal. I still haven't learned how do I kill mature deer with my bow and arrow. I'm not there yet. So it's a process and it's fun. But watching you kill that deer, listening to that story, being a part of it. I know where you were. I know where you've been. You basically gave up on gun hunting. You wanted it to be hard. And you were totally fine. I'm putting deer on the wall. I'm killing with shotgun in Illinois. You're saying that's not for me. I want to bow hunt. And then I see you kill that deer, right at Boone and Crockett. And I'm pumped for you. It jacks me up. And there's nothing better than that.
Appreciate it. It was good. It was fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah. So we got things planned this year. Going to Hooker Mountain again.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute.
First year I went out there with you guys. You guys have been going for a long time. 6 years?
Has it been that
5,
long?
6 years?
Gun season. We gun hunted out there.
Yeah, 2013.
It might be.
And you guys basically
5
alternated
years.
killing every single year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Except
last year.
Yeah, we did.
Which we
And
just had.
I missed a cow last year.
Right.
So
Right.
it would have happened.
Yep. So we've killed with gun. We've been out there with bow. You've killed. I've killed a cow with a bow. Killed a bull with a bow. You've done the same. So yeah, it is basically we're alternating. We're rotating.
We just had bad luck with weather last year. Mid-80s, basically the
Yeah, it was
entire
hot.
time.
I just felt like they weren't there yet.
Right. But we still had opportunities.
Yeah.
You missed your cow, and
Yeah.
I blew my opportunity.
What? You had enough? You had a shot, Chief Hunter?
Yeah.
You had your chance.
I had my chance.
Yeah, you had mountain lions on top of you. I understand. You got rattled.
Yeah, that was, well,
Was that the same day?
no, it was the next day.
Okay.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was hot, mid-80s. We're not seeing elk. This is my first year elk hunting. The previous year, I mule deer hunted and had opportunities to kill mule deer, just not the one I was after. He was sending me pictures of a 170s mule deer, so I was hunting it. Passed a lot of decent mule deer bucks that, waiting for the big one. Well, the big one never showed up, so I ate my tag. We get into last year, my first year elk hunting, and again, hot, mid-80s, not seeing elk, and I was hunting California Park, one of their properties near California Park in Hayden, Colorado area. We had finally had some elk coming. I saw just a couple of cows working their way down. It ended up being, a couple of cows come down in a spike that came out to 70 yards out in front of me in this alfalfa field. Had a buddy with me, Greg Dohan, running the camera. His first time ever running the camera. So I was looking at him. I was a little bit distracted, trying to make sure that he had everything under control, make sure he was operating things correctly. And, first time I've ever had elk in front of me, and I was rattled. I was absolutely rattled. They come out at 70 yards there, and I had a dialer sight, and I dial it into 70. I had a 3-pin dialer. So I had it all figured out all summer long. I had it figured out. I dial it in at 60. My top pin's going to be roughly 52. My bottom pin's going to be 67. So I'm basically have a gap. Basically a 10-yard gap either way. I'll just round it up to 50 and 70 if my middle pin's at 60. And cows run down. and they ended up hitting a water hole off to my left. I can hear them in the water hole. And walking by it, I told Greg, I was like, man, we probably should set up on this water hole, but then I can't see the big alfalfa field. So we opted not to, and sure enough, they walk down and they dive into the water hole. Well, they ended up coming back out, and they're down there at 90 yards or so to my left. And there's more elk coming down the mountain. And I'm just trying to figure out which ones are going to get in front of me first. The ones down here to the left, the cow, the calf, and the spike, they started working their way in front of me. So I already had my dialer set on 60 yards because that's where they come out of the oak brush in front of me. So then I'm thinking, okay, they're going to work right up here, and I'm going to point blank. So I dial her back down to 30 and thinking it's going to be right here, 20 to 40 yards, you're going to be right in front of me. Well, then the other elk started working down the mountain, getting closer a lot faster. So then I think, okay, they're going to come out there at 60. I dial her up to 60. So I'm getting her back. And then they stop, they hold up. Then the ones are coming, I'm thinking they're going to come up here close again. I dial her back to 30. I'm just constantly going back and forth.
That damn dial.
Just getting I was rattled. That was basically what it is.
So what's your learning point? I mean, what would you have done differently in that moment, looking back now?
Looking back now, I would have just
not dialed
until it was time to shoot. But again, and that's what you're supposed to do, but I was rattled. You know, I was so nervous just on cows. Again, first time I've ever had elk in front of me. Well, finally, the elk in front of me started working down, and I arranged where one of them was going to come out, and I put it on 70, my middle pin, so my top one's 60, my bottom one 80. And then the other one started moving. I moved it one more time, or I thought I did. I thought I moved it, and I didn't. I thought I moved it back to 60.
Moment of truth.
Moment of truth. I thought it was at 60. Anyways, the cow that I shot at moved in front of me. She was 60, and I kept thinking that was my bottom pin was 60. I put it on her, and it was set at 70, right over her back. But it come down to being rattled. Well, we got a lot going on this year, so I'm looking forward to another great year of getting out there. We're gonna do a lot more this year, not just deer hunting. Get some waterfowl in,
And by the way, did you guys go on that goose hunt last weekend?
No.
What happened?
No. It was supposed to be yesterday, but yesterday, yeah.
Oh, I thought you guys were going last weekend.
Well,
No.
you thought it was Saturday, but it was Sunday. But it actually iced, and the guide pulled us back. He said that he thought that they were moving out because the ice was coming in, so he thought it'd be better if we planned it another day.
Gotcha.
Which is cool. I mean, it's good.
It's better than just taking our money and running.
That's right. He thought our best opportunity would be to wait and catch them on another day.
Yep. Well, we better wrap this up. What you think?
Yeah.
We've been at it an hour and a half at least.
Wow.
We were worried about talking for 30
I
minutes.
didn't think
I got more to say.
Not done.
Well,
Not finished yet.
we can come back for another one. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
you guys are close enough.
I doubt you'll have us back.
This might be it.
Yeah. We'll see how many downloads we get here.
How long does it hit delete? Delete.
All right. Well, that's it. You guys got anything you want to talk about? You want to plug your businesses? You probably get in trouble.
No, I will. You want to?
Go ahead.
I'm Joe Hennemann State Farm in Sykeston, Missouri. So if you're in the Scott County area, come see Joe Hennemann in Sykeston, Missouri, 412 Tanner Street.
And I'm Craig Heisserer, State Farm. I'm in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. So you get an opportunity, swing by. We can sit down and talk insurance, or we can talk hunting. Either way, I'm good. So
kiss ass.
Look me up.
There you go. So I'm just a guy that just sits here and plays video talk and everything else. So that's what I do. So well, that's it. Nocked and Loaded Podcast #1, the pilot episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We got a lot of things happening. Missouri Department of Conservation, we'll get something set up with those guys. And I know some hunting TV personalities that have agreed to come in and sit down for a little bit. So hopefully you guys will hear from them soon as well. So stay tuned. This is #1. #2 coming at you someday, soon, hopefully. See you later. This is Derek Dirnberger, and you're listening to the Nocked and Loaded Podcast.